Hi, my name is Zephyr Wildman. I'm going to offer you a practice tip for bridge pose. Now, we've been taught over time certain ways of doing poses. And a lot of the time, we were so naive in the practice that we never really questioned the instructions. But now as time has evolved, we as teachers have merged Western physiotherapy biomechanics into the tradition of yoga asana. We have been able to actually merge together certain cues and teaching cues that actually have evolved to serve us in being effective in the pose and also safe. So bridge pose has always been taught to roll up and down the spine. Rolling up and down is fine if you're doing core and half a bridge, but to be able to do an extreme back bend, to reverse the lumbar curve and roll. So lumbar curve and cervical curve are the only parts of the spine that are designed to do the back bend. Your thoracic part is not designed to do a back bend. If you look at a skeleton and these little transverse processes, these little dinosaur bones that stick out, they're shaped like this. Whereas when you do a back bend, the bones hit each other. Whereas the lumbar have space and they're designed like this. So there's a lot more movement to be able to do a back bend. So what we're trying to do is, yes, distribute the back bend throughout the whole spine, but actually effectively set up the lumbar, the cervical, to be able to do back bends so we can have that sense of distribution with strength and safety, leaning our bodies into hyperextension. So the idea is, the old instruction is to round the spine, rolling up. So you're tucking your pelvis under, flattening the lumbar curve, rounding your upper back to then come into a back bend, which doesn't make sense to me. And from the information that we have received biomechanically, when we force a rounding, the discs move towards the back of the spine. And the front of the spine, the discs are pinched a little bit, they compress. Then we go into the extreme of a back bend where the back of the spine compresses the back of the discs and the front of the spine, the discs open up. And then we ask it to roll down again. When we come down, that the front of the spine compresses the discs and the back of the spine then opens up the discs. That kind of constant pressure from one extreme to the other has been shown to actually wear and tear and also dehydrate the discs, causing disc erosion. So what I would suggest is we're going to actually set up bridge pose in a back bend, come up into bridge pose in a back bend, lower down in a back bend, decompress with gravity, allowing the disc to come to a neutral position before we do a counter pose. And I have found I've been teaching and practicing this technique for about 15 years, and I in myself have reduced the back spasms. I've seen it in my clients and students reduce back spasms because the body is relying on joints rather than muscular integrity to do these back bends. So here we go. So feet hip distance apart, you're going to lie down on your back. Now from lying down on your back, I'm gonna ask you to bend your elbows. Yeah, as you bend your elbows, tuck your shoulders under. And as you tuck your shoulders under, feel the elbow shoulder blades creating a nice foundation. And then as you create a back bend, you puff out your chest, your bottom of the sacrum tailbone should be on the floor. Now as you inhale here, feel the fullness of that inhale being received. And as you exhale, draw your knees forward, lifting your pelvis up. Now from here, notice if you push your feet forward to lift the pelvis, your spine compresses. I'm gonna ask you to draw your knees forward, draw your heels towards your shoulders as you press your elbows and shoulders into the floor. Now as you inhale, feel the fullness of your inhale, breathe into the back lower lobes of the lungs. And as you exhale, your knees draw forward, feel Uddiyana Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor and lower belly hollow out. The big toe is in the floor. You can spread the toes, ground the heel.
If you find it difficult with height, you can lift the heels and keep drawing your knees forward, distributing that back bend a little bit more effectively. Elbows into the floor, shoulders into the floor. If you so wish to interlace, please separate the wrists, pull your hands, bend the elbows and shoulders, and you can do the back bend this way. If you lock, the tendency is you collapse your chest and load your lower back with pressure. So bending the elbows is essential to get elbows and shoulders to be the foundation. Now to come out of it, you're going to lift your heels, remove your arms, and now exhale, lower in a back bend, dropping the tailbone to the floor. And now let gravity decompress your spine. So there's still a little lumbar curve, but now you feel that there is a softening of the connective tissue, the muscles that made all that effort in the back bend. And now once everything is softened, you are more than welcome then to do the counter pose of a forward bend. But notice the difference between rolling up, so you flatten the spine, now you're doing a back bend, and then rolling down, what that feels like. Over time, it's going to wear out the discs. It's going to actually wear out the facet joints on the sides as they grind together. So because of the muscle engagement, everything gets compressed. So see if you can try this. Tuck your shoulders under, elbows and shoulders on the floor. Puff out your chest. Inhale here. Exhale, draw your knees forward in the back bend, heels towards your shoulders. And then come up on your tiptoes, remove your arms, lower down in a back bend, decompress, relax, release. You can even do any of the psoas releasing poses, and then do a counter pose.
So try that in your own practice. Try those little tips that I've added. Knees travel forward, heels to your shoulders. If you're interlacing, bend your elbows. But sense that what we're trying to accomplish in bridge pose is a back bend. So why are we approaching the back bend in a forward bend? Again, use critical thinking, question certain cues, and actually explore a little bit deeper, your anatomy, physiology, and biomechanics to actually have sustained longevity in practice. Please practice with muscle integrity so you can keep your body safe and be more efficient while we do asana. I hope that has helped, and I hope to share some more teaching tips with you soon.